The ubiquitous Honda GX series of engines, in this case the 200, is probably the most produced of the entire range, as it hits something of a sweet spot in terms of power output. Speaking of which, the older engines were marketed in terms of horsepower as opposed to displacement. The reason for this change is unknown to me, but please comment below if you can enlighten us. In any case, I prefer recognising their displacement rather than their output, as this can at times be very misleading, especially in regard to electrical generation. For example, the GX390 was formerly the 13 horsepower, but this can be very deceiving, especially when compared to its diesel rivals such as Yanmar and Hertz. An L100 Yanmar is rated at 10 horsepower, for instance, but being a diesel has superior torque characteristics, which is fundamental in electricity generation. I can attest from experience that a 10 horsepower Yanmar powered by a 200 amp sight welder, in reverse, powering a 200 amp sight welder, has as much poke, maybe even more, than the same alternator powered by a 13 horsepower Honda GX. This also holds true for the GX160 and GX200, formerly marketed as the 5.5 and 6.5 horsepower respectively. I work in the construction industry and have witnessed the raft of inverted commas 3.2 kVA site generators powered by the 160. Outside clever marketing, the truth here is that the alternator with a potential 3.2 kVA is powered by an engine that can only deliver 2.7. And so, if one finds themselves in the market for a small site Jenny, which is where you're going to find 90% of these units, make sure it is powered by the 200 as opposed to the 160. This is also true for pressure washers, where you will probably find the remaining 10%. Also, remember the GX200 that powers the generator is different to the one that powers the washer. Most noticeably, the former has a governor and the latter a throttle. But more importantly, the Jenny is going to have a tapered shaft. There may be a plethora of reasons for this, but to my mind, the main one being the commutator in the alternator is effectively using the output shaft of the 200 as one of two bearings, thus eliminating a potential third. This leads me to think there must have been at least some dialogue between Honda in Japan and, let's say, Macalti in Italy, who are the world's largest independent producer of alternators, when they designed their respective components. And this proves yet again that free market capitalism is not always about mindless profit at any cost, although I do accept at times this does exist. I take comfort in the fact that these entities don't last very long. Take a look at the plethora of illegal copies of both these companies' designs, who then export them to their respective markets, thus jeopardizing jobs, living standards, and thereby extension their societies as well. Due to the laws of product integrity, a corporation may fool the customer, client, or consumer for a period of time, maybe a long time, but certainly far short of the 3/4 of a century both the aforementioned companies have been trading. On a personal note, as a tradesperson who is still able to support myself through my skills, I am not asking for donations, but do ask, if you have received value from this video, like or subscribe or both. It would mean the world to me. But enough of this god-awful small affair. Back to the review. And so, the operation of these engines, very simple. You have your choke, which in this case I'm going to leave it on. We have our throttle here. I'll put it at idle. Fill it with petrol, check the ignition is on, which it is, just to prove you this engine is cold. Wouldn't matter anyway, because they seem to start better when they're cold rather than when they're hot. Either way, they're very easy to start. Start with the choke on. Once she fires up, switch it off. No, so I switched the choke off now, second time. Full throttle. Suffice to say, do not buy a copy of this engine, not only on moral grounds, but in terms of cost also. Here in Europe, a new genuine GX200 costs around €330. A copy is around 200. Believe me, the Honda is worth €130 extra, because it will do exactly what you saw here for the rest of your life and some. If you were really stuck for cash, then pick up a used for around €90 and pump €110 into it. It will still be a better engine than the copy. Since Subaru pulled out of the market, that leaves Briggs & Stratton and Hyundai as Honda's main competition for small petrol engines. I don't have a lot of experience with either. Anyway, hope you liked this video. As before, please like, subscribe or comment. I answer comments on breaks weekdays at GMT, so look forward to hearing from you then.